How's it going, everybody? My name is Ryan45678 and welcome back to the M16A1 parts kit build. And just real quick before we get started, please, for the love of God, do not follow this video as a tutorial. This is a build log. I include everything: mistakes, things that worked, things that didn't work. I never claim to be a gunsmith. I just like building guns because it's fun. So, take that for what you will. This is how my build went. I'm not going to cut things that happened unless they're just boring and not informative. And that's the idea. I want to be informative. I want people to see what I did, see what worked, see what didn't work, and all that. So please, don't follow this as a tutorial. That's not what the intent is. It's just to show my build. And for YouTube, if you're listening, this video is just assembly of parts. I am not showing anyone how to build a firearm. The firearm is already complete. Thank you. So last time we got the lower coated with the blackish Colt gray. Turned out pretty good. It's not perfect, especially here, but I'm going to weather it at some point, and I can always go back and touch it up with the moly resin if I really want to. So moving on to the next major part is the barrel install, which includes two things. It includes the front sight / gas block install, as well as installing the barrel onto the upper. Now the sight block is going to be the thing that takes the most time and effort, because you got to get it lined up straight and you got to drill two tapered pinholes. So from what I could see, there's a couple ways I could go about this. There's the Jinsboy way. Jinsboy is one of the OG YouTube AK builders. He actually had a video like 12 years ago where he took and made a washer to mimic the handguard retainer so that you get the spacing of the sight block where it needs to be, but you can also see a mark that you make that lines up with the gas hole and a mark that you line up on the sight block itself in the center of the gas hole so that you can line them up straight and drill your pinholes. The other way is I saw a pretty detailed Reddit post with picture links and everything, and basically they got it centered by eye and then took a laser bore sight, get it centered pretty well left to right that way. So let's see if I can mock it up really quick, and if I can do it without installing the barrel, I will, because I have this index pin here that I can use, and if it looks straight, then it looks straight. If it looks crooked, it looks crooked. So let's give it a shot. What I'm doing is looking down the pin like this, getting a halfway decent idea of how straight. Yeah, it's a little hard to tell, so I think I'm gonna play it safe and check with a bore sight later. But for now, let's go ahead and get this on the upper. Okay, so before we do anything with the barrel, I need to reassemble the barrel nut, which is pretty straightforward. Take the big part, the big open part, put the spring in, line up the spring with the notch. Take the other way, take the barrel nut itself, put it in there, and then we take the snap ring, and you just have to squeeze it really hard. I couldn't get it before, but it turns out I just needed to squeeze it a little bit more. I kind of want to line up the open end of the snap ring with this notch as well, but you can always readjust it later. Come on, there we go. That's almost there. There, it's snapped in there. There. And I think we're in. Yep. And so before doing the front sight, we do need the barrel nut on. So it goes like that, because you can't put it on the other way. And then there comes the handguard retainer as well. And the front sight again. I can't find my anti-seize, so I'm just going to use oil. Basically, I want to get, I should have done this first, but, well, since it's going into here in the upper, I'll do that. Just a little. And then the threads. Probably not necessary, but just in case. So we get the gas tube. The nub lined up. Oh yeah, that was the other thing, is based on people's comments, as well as watching some people do this, don't use the blocks that clamp the upper. You're probably going to break something, or at the very least get it out of alignment. That's why we need the action rod, so that we can lock it in there as if the bolt was in and hold it from that, so that the barrel doesn't move while we turn that nut. So it goes all the way in and then locked like the bolt. And then we're gonna tighten this down. I guess we shouldn't do this with the gas tube in. So, and we can start the threads on this that way. And we'll tighten it. Okay, so this, it's kind of hard to show because you can't really see the hole from here, and the divot, that's a little better of an angle. So that's not lined up, so we're gonna have to line up this, this is a snap ring. Kind of annoying that it shifted to where it's no longer aligned. However, like that, it's a little closer. That's about right. And then the spring is like nowhere near. Oh, I can just rotate. I believe that's it. Yep, there's the gap. So it's something like that. And then we'll go back to this. So it looks like the spring, oh yeah, it's actually this, the outside. Let's see, the spring can stay, but the outside of the ring needs to move. And then line up. And then the snap ring. A little bit too far. There. That's good. And then, like I said, this outer ring like that. Except I need to not move the spring at the same time. There we go. Yep, that's pretty good. Let me actually get a torque wrench. I'll set it to 30. A couple things though. This wrench, extending the length of the torque wrench is going to make the reading, I believe, smaller than it actually is. And having oil on the threads would do something similar, I believe. So the range is like 30 to 80. with 80 being kind of high. Okay, we're at 30, so we're probably over 30. So I'm gonna loosen it. And no, that puts us with the tooth being straight in the middle again. It could go up a little bit. I mean, I don't really have a choice. I can't do like 20. I don't want it to be too loose. We'll go up 5 at a time and see what we get. That might actually do it. Need to go a little bit more. I can't really see what I'm doing, so let's say, and these things keep moving. Okay, the spring is lined up with it. Oh, the snap ring just needs a nudge. That might work. If it's going to be a tight fit, I may need to tighten it a little bit more. Snap ring is in the way. Okay, yeah, that does not line up yet. So I need to go quite a bit more. There we go. It doesn't look like it from that angle, but I'm gonna have to adjust that from the gas alignment. That looks pretty dead on. See if we can't get it to go in. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Perfect. And so you can see what I just did here. I moved the sight a little bit to line up better. I'm basically, imagine my head right here, but behind the front sight, looking down it, reverse, as if you were looking down the rifle, but from the muzzle, or looking down the sights. And I'm just lining up the ears by sight. Yeah, if I just push this here and get it lined up that way, rotationally, and then just like more like that, because the gas hole is at the bottom, and then we shove it in there like that. And at some point we'll pin that. That point is not right now. We'll get that done once we're closer to actually having this thing ready. Okay, and while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and install the front and rear sights. What we have for assembling the sight, there's a spring. Goes right down in there. There's a detent that interfaces with the sight that goes on top of the spring. Like that. And then we push the spring down there. I mean the sight down there. I have a front sight tool, but it did not work. It was supposedly for, it was like AR-15/A1/A2. It didn't work for this A1. Yeah, as you can see, the tool doesn't fit this sight. I think it was good enough. That may have been what I did to kind of use part of it to just grab on. Yeah, there we go. It's starting to turn. It's not threaded yet. Or is it? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so for the rear sight, it's a little bit complicated, but once you understand how it works, it's not too bad. Essentially what we have is we have the main sight, the flip sight, whatever you want to call it. We have a spring that it rides on, like that, for when you flip it up and down. So we'll put that in, like so. There's a little crevice, you can't miss it. It goes in there. Then take and we put our sight in there and we start screwing the screw into it. Now these threads will pick up the actual flip sight that's in here. And then once we get to the end, it'll stick out here and there's a pin we'll deal with that in a second. Let's start screwing this in. What I'm going to kind of do is screw this in until it gets centered. So I'll move so you can see what I'm doing. So basically what we're going to want at this point is to have the screw centered, or the sight centered. It's not centered yet. I'll get it centered, and then we'll worry about the windage adjustment, detent, and wheel. And that looks about right to my eye. Top down eye level view, that looks about centered. And we have the hole, the pinhole facing up, just so it's easier to get to. And so what we do now is a little tricky. I already have the spring in there. Let me just show you really quick. This little spring goes in there. You want to kind of pre-start the little bitty roll pin. In the one video that I saw, it was the 1 and 2 were facing up. So actually the 1, so it was kind of like this. And then the pin went straight down. So that's what I'm going to start with. Good enough, as long as we can put it on there, which looks like we cannot. There we go. The obviously the detent tiny part goes into here, so the big part goes into the upper in the spring hole. What he did, it was Mr. Guns and Gear. That's the video I saw. He did it like this. I couldn't get it to go in that way for the life of me, so we're just gonna do like this, like I did before, and then stick that. That didn't work. This is also not lined up to do that. This hole needs to be more like this way. So I'm going to turn it to where it's facing that way. Then I'm going to try the detent again. The little tiny end on the back of this one. And hopefully I can line that up. Get it. It did not work again. Okay, I got it in there the other way. It doesn't want to stay in. It does not like me. So there we go. It does not want to stay. Come on. There it is. Okay. We've got it. And then we can take the punch. Should be able to kind of push it mostly. And then very carefully there we go. That's in. So I can't find the laser bore sight. I think it might have gotten borrowed. Best I can tell though, that lines up pretty good. So you know what I think I'm gonna do? Since none of the stuff that I tried earlier really worked. Like I tried lining this up by sight. That's probably the closest I've gotten. I tried lining it up with the gas tube. That was hit or miss. I think what I'm gonna do is do the Jins Boy way. Take the sight off. Find the gas port hole with this on the lathe. Scribe it on top here so I can see it, because I can see this hole. I can see the gas hole here. I can mark on the handguard retainer the center of the bottom of that hole as well, and line it up pretty good, and then pin it. So I don't have to bother with trying to line up the sights, because I don't necessarily trust my eye to line up the sights exactly right, to verify that the laser is right, and I don't trust the laser to be perfectly exactly right versus how it shoots. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the center on the barrel, mark it to where I can see it with the handguard retainer then on there, mark the handguard retainer, because that centers it up with the gas block, the gas hole in the gas block. I can't really center it using the gas block, but this has already been installed on this, and it basically kind of snaps in right there. And so I think I can use that to index it. That's what I'm going to try. The other thing about doing it that way is if I'm aligning it by sight, I can't tell if I accidentally shifted it. If I have the mark, I can pretty much tell. Well, change of plans. This will not fit in the lathe without taking off the upper, and I really don't want to take off the upper. I like where I have it. And so I'm just going to eyeball a mark to here. Okay. Yep, I'd say that's my mark. It's as good as I'm going to get. Same with handguard retainer. That'll be a lot easier. Just and there we have our alignment. Let me get in this kind of centered on the gas block, and then from there getting the lines lined up pretty good. So I'd say that's about as close as I'm going to get. I've kind of backed off on both sides and just looked at the straightness of the parts to try to see, and it looks about as close as it's going to get. And the mark, this is about centered, and the mark's about centered on the bigger mark on the barrel, and I'm going to call that good. So I'm going to do the vice grip trick to see if I can get this clamped and not able to move. Let me get this set up because I bumped my sight. So I'm going to get this set up to clamp first. That way I can immediately be ready to do it. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this to not move at all. It's just going to be harder to move. So I'm going to redo my... I tell you what I'm going to do, because the difference between what Jin's boy is doing and what I'm doing is he's drilling a virgin gas block, and he's able to line it up straight with the sling swivel hole. I can't do that. My sling swivel is there, and there's nothing else I can really use to align it this way. And so I think the safest thing to do is to just follow the hole from the existing hole from the sight block, just because I really don't think using the mill is a good idea, because I don't have any way to make it sure it's straight, and it's going to make a straight hole whether or not I have it straight in there. And so I want to be able to follow the hole, and so I think that's what I'm going to do. So I've got a new set of drill bits, numbered. I'm taking the 31, I think that's the size. This is the small side of the hole. A 30 is too big, so 31 is what we're going to use. I'm just going to very carefully drill that. And then afterwards, we're going to flip it around to the big side and use the taper reamer until I can get it to where a pin will sit in there, sticking out a little bit, and all it needs is a little bit of tappy tap to go all the way. 5W30 right here. Just gonna put some in there. I'm gonna be very careful because I don't like how precarious this is with the vice grip setup, but it's what we got. So I'm just gonna follow the hole. I can see straight through there. And I'm just gonna clamp this down first. This is clamped pretty good already. Just gonna see what we can do here. And my drill doesn't like that. I think that moved. See, that's what I was afraid of happening too on the mill. Once I get it all clamped down, it's going to move, and then I'm going to have to reset it, and it's going to not work. So, try it again. I don't have high hopes for this. Well, I'd say that drilled halfway decent. Not perfect, but we still got to ream it. So, yeah, let me see, some light. Yep. Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna try one of the pins. Yeah, it doesn't even go at all. Just probably the depth of the hole in the sight block itself. So I'm gonna get the taper reamer, get some oil on it in a second. I'm gonna see if I can use it with this tap handle. This is just from, yeah, looks like it should work. Just from a Harbor Freight set, tap and die set. Do that, and then get some oil, and we'll see how we go. This is going to be a problem. If I can carefully undo it, maybe. I hate this so much, though. I hope I didn't move that. So at some point this stopped recording, but I tried to sneak up on it with the reamer. Sneak up on it, I did not. I ended up with one pin that fits in there very loosely, and one pin that fits in there also pretty loosely. And so that's just gonna be how it is, I think. We're gonna sneak up on it less on the next one. Yeah, that's gonna be good enough. It's gonna just stick out on that side a little bit, which is fine. And we're gonna drill the second hole. I'm gonna try to do a better job because this one, I kind of egged the hole. Try to do better. Yeah, that's the problem. That. Still egged a little, but that's fine. That's kind of expected with the drill. If I'd started with a mill, and maybe done the top to get it started, it might have turned out better. But I was having such issues with even getting it to stay in one place to begin with without accidentally bumping it. So not much I could have done, really. All right, for that one, I'm going to say that's good. I can pound that in a little bit harder on the bench, and the sight block is on. All right, so basically to recap what I did for this, what went wrong, what worked, what I did, what I should have done, what I messed up on. The main problem was, I wouldn't say loose fit, because that's what this is supposed to be. The hand-tight fit of the gas block on the barrel, it makes it difficult to line up because any little bump can move it. And I had it clamped, unless I was clamping in the wrong place, because everybody I saw said to clamp this here with vice grips, and I had them pretty tight. and it kept it from moving easily. Like I can't just bump this and have it move. However, if I bumped the vice grips, which happened several times, it would move because there's leverage. And so I don't know if I didn't clamp on the right spot or if I didn't clamp tight enough or what, but that was my issue. What I should have done, because what I ended up doing was clamp the barrel in the vise with padding, and then use a hand drill with this clamped with vice grips to drill the holes, which I believe is why this end ended up the way it did. It's egged. It doesn't look that bad unless you shine a light on it. It's not too bad, but it's egged this way. And that's because when I was using the hand drill with a nice new sharp drill bit, it kept kicking. And obviously because I didn't have anything to keep it straight and I wasn't using the mill or a drill press, the drill bit and the drill moved and kicked out sideways, angled a bit, and egged the hole. So yeah, it happened a little bit with this one. That's not as bad, since I kind of knew what to expect. And I say that. I should know better. I've drilled pinholes on AKs, FALs, Galil. The fact that these are taper pins makes no difference, and I should have known better. I thought, naively, that clamping it on the mill and trying to get it lined up straight and potentially bumping it would be too much work, and that I would mess it up and have to re-clamp it. But I really don't think so. I think what would have happened was the exact same thing, because I still had to eyeball it. Even though I made marks, I didn't make good marks. I made them with Sharpie, and I made them on the handguard retainer, which has some wiggle to it, so it was never going to be centered by the marks anyway. So I ended up having to line the sight block up with the upper by eye anyway. And so I could have done that, and it would have been just the same as if I had had it clamped on the vise right here. I think I was just being lazy and trying to get it done quickly and thinking that that was too hard or something. I think it would have been the exact same amount of work, if not easier. And at the very least, what I should have done is done that and used an end mill to start it. Even if I wasn't totally sure if I had it straight up and down, because that I think is my only genuine concern that I had, was that if I was going to use a mill bit to start it, sure, that's fine. But as soon as I go to transfer to a drill bit to finish it, I was worried that my hole was not going to be straight up and down. And with a hand drill, I know I can follow the hole. And I guess my main worry with that was that I was going to start it with the mill, and I would need to take it off the mill to do it with the hand drill, and then accidentally bump it, get it out of alignment, and now I've got a started hole that's not in line with the gas block anymore. Maybe. I don't know. What I should have done, if I thought about it, to fix that problem is I could have swung the mill away, because it does that, I forgot, and then finish with the hand drill. No moving of the barrel necessary. Yeah, anyway, that's just me rambling about me being lazy and doing things the wrong way out of laziness. So I'm gonna drive this pin in and we'll be done with this gas block, and I won't talk about it anymore because it's done and I can't change it. So for that, we're gonna get my trusty bouncy bench block, as some people have noted. Okay, I lied. Last thing on this before I drive the pin. The good thing is I have this on tight, the handguard retainer, because that's the other thing, is that moving this, wiggling it by hand to line it up, would always loosen this, so I would have to bash it with a hammer, mallet, sorry. And the sight block by eye at least still appears to be lined up. I didn't shift it in any way. Punching a pin using a bouncy bench block. There we go. What's the other side? we go. The good thing, I know I lied again. The good thing about this not being great is I've already got this thing totally boogered up from the pins being so tight, so it doesn't really seem out of place for them to be that way. One more, and that's good. That's a perfect depth, actually, I think. So it's the big end, the small end, and yeah. So we're good on the front sight block. Next we have final assembly, which is all the tiny parts that I took out of the upper and the lower, as well as things like the buffer and the stock and all that I haven't installed yet at all. So we'll start with the upper. First things first is the flash hider. So let me get this clamped in the action rod real quick. So really not much to this, just the lock washer that was on there and the device. Onto the nice rough parkerized threads. Okay, so it looks like, from my understanding and the positioning that this index to by hand, this will need to be facing up, and these flats are also parallel like this. And so I'm just gonna yoink on it until I get that kind of straight up and down. I'm sure there's a reason for indexing it a certain way. I don't know that reason, but I'm just gonna get it aesthetically looking straight, you know? There, that should probably be it. I guess these don't actually line up straight with that, so. All right, so next up is I'm gonna do the gas tube. And before I do that, I'm gonna go off camera and spray this with some of this stuff. Hopefully that'll get the crud out of there. I'm just gonna spray the nozzle down in there. And if I need to, I'll spray it from this side as well. All right, it wasn't blocked like I thought. It came out, I sprayed it through this end, it came out, sprayed it through this end, it came out. So I think we're good to go on that. So I'm just gonna install it. Yep, we're still good. Just like that. Yep. Turn it the proper direction. There we go. Okay. And then we'll take this off the vise and pin it. Okay, so I went ahead and shifted this around until I could see the hole for the pin. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right there. Yeah, probably not, but trust me, it's there. You just kind of shift it around until you see it. This roll pin is one that gave me a lot of trouble on the disassembly. I would like to use a new one, but my Oops kit doesn't seem to have that roll pin that I can tell. So I think I'm just stuck with using this. Speaking of, where'd I put it? Well, tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna order a new one. I was kind of freaking out for a minute because I had some roll pins that were just generic ones off of Amazon. And I had some that were 3/32, which is about the size that I need. And they would just pass right through. And then I measured it. Sure enough, they are too small. They're like 0.07 inches. 3/32 is like 0.093 something. So for now, I'm just gonna not have a gas tube pin. Okay, since we're skipping the handguards, let's go to the rest of the upper components. Start with the forward assist that I didn't actually need to disassemble, that I will now put back together. So I can really only go one way because this slot needs to go in here. So, and this detent has a angled surface so that it can hit on here, but if you do it this way, it doesn't work. So I'm gonna squeeze this together and get the pin in. Not a whole lot. It's the little tiny pin. So, yep, looks like we got it. Not much to it. Don't even need a punch for that. And then this pin that I also didn't need to take out. And then finally, we reinstall it back on the gun. The flat side, right here, is where the pin goes, and it needs to go toward the pin. So we'll start the pin first. Okay, well that end just sits there, so I don't think I'll have to worry too much about that. So, flat side toward the gun, and just squeeze it in there. And for this, since the pin is kind of weak, just plop it in. And it is retained, so go ahead and hammer it the rest of the way. Holding, if I had 6 hands, this would be better, but ideally I'd like to hold this to release the spring pressure. There, it's on, I think it's caught on the other side. I don't feel it yet. Not quite, almost. Oops, a little too far. Is that the right pin? That might not be the right pin. It's kind of short. I'm gonna hammer it in a tiny bit more because I still don't see it coming out of the other side. Yeah, I think it's just a weird pin. Well, even if that's the wrong pin, I'll find out. And if it is, we'll fix it. But that's gonna keep this for now. I'm not really gonna use this. Okay, so next fun thing that I forgot about is the dust cover, and there's a detent that goes in there. You gotta get a spring clippy on there. I actually don't think it'll be too bad. Not as bad as getting it off. So you put the detent with the spring in there, because that's for the top of the dust cover to latch onto. Then we got this little tiny guy, and it goes on the end of that. So what I'm gonna try is to take needle nose pliers, hold it like this so that I can shove it on there, like that. Or not. That's the idea. These are magnetic and it's kind of annoying. I've got, I think, some better pliers because the nose doesn't close at the exact same point on those other ones. But these are fatter. However, they seem to have a better grip more consistent. They also get in the way. Use my fingers and a screwdriver. There we go. Now we got to put the dust cover on the upper. So, of course, I dropped the little C-clip that goes here. I can't find it. So for now, I'm gonna not have it on there. If I feel like doing a replacement or trying to find it again or get another one, I'll do that. It actually makes it really easy being a A1. You don't have to do, you could just slide this straight through from here. You don't have to worry about the barrel nut or anything. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. And I'm just following instructions that I found on a video. So we'll try it. Yeah, the spring needs to go back, it sounds like. I'm holding the spring with my fingers. I'm gonna push the pin to get it in there, like that, and let go. And that's not sitting where it should. And it's gonna scratch again. You can see what I mean. That's just sitting there. It's gonna come off and it's gonna scratch. So there's something wrong with either the spring or the dust cover, or both. It shouldn't do that. So one thing I've noticed is that my spring is not straight here. So let me fix that real quick. Yep, now it's straight. Okay, we got that. Wonder if that needs... It doesn't come completely open. This is also it's also bent. That's probably why, because I feel the resistance. Oh. Well, I lost my spring. Yeah, I think I need a new dust cover or new spring or something, because this is not working. Okay, last thing on the upper side of things is going to be the charging handle. And so we're going to reassemble that. Yeah, put the spring back in there. Release in there. That. I just gotta line that up somehow without all these parts going flying. There, except now I can't do anything with it because I have no hands. Let's try real quick. Ow. Yeah, I can't hold that. There we go. Oh, that's not it. That's it. There we go. So I got the pin right here, ready to go. No. See if I can line it up with the punch on this side. There we go. And then there it is. Perfect. Just need to oil it, and then we'll be good. There we go. It's gonna be good enough. All right. Let's work on the lower now. I think what I've decided is I'm gonna buy, PSA sells the H&R A1 dust covers. I'm just gonna buy that whole thing and replace it. And I'm gonna see if they have a gas tube pin as well. Apex has Colt original ones. I don't know that I care all that much about the gas tube roll pin being original. It'd be nice if it was, but it's not like the end of the world. So let's start with something I've already done recently, which is the front takedown pin. The spring down in there. Yeah, I'm gonna do it the same way. I'm gonna take some pliers, and looks like that should actually be really easy. It's just right there, and then just like that. Perfect. Now the detent doesn't work real well. I know it's probably because the pin, the detent itself is not rounded anymore. It's kind of been, so that may be a problem. And yes, I do know how to take this out now. Sorry for any aneurysms caused by doing it some other way. Yeah, that's kind of like flat at this point. So, alrighty. Since this is kind of a last ditch to save the original, I went ahead and took a file and reprofiled. Get it? File. Okay, so it kind of matches the replacement. See if that's any better. No. Not at all. Like, none whatsoever. Let's see if the replacement is any better. Okay, that's slightly better. It's more usable. For sure. So I think I'll leave it. Yeah, I'm good with that. That actually does work quite a bit better. So we're gonna leave that. You're never gonna see it. I'll hold on to this one just in case, but I doubt I'm gonna ever use it. Okay, let's start off with something easy. We'll do these two first. We'll do magazine release, and then the bolt release. Other side, we get the spring, get our button. Let's see if I can get this in there. Yeah. Probably need a punch to finish it though. All right, then we'll check where we're at. Yeah, we can go a little more and see how that is. Next we got bolt release, which has a spring and a plunger. Just put those in there. And then see if we can't line this up with the pinholes to get the pin in there. Which seems actually pretty easy. Okay, I'm gonna get this started in here first. Get that on the edge. It's almost there. Almost. Yep, that is flush. So I'm gonna leave this where it's at. Line this up. And then see if I can't get it to go in there. That felt like it started. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's I can feel that catching on the pin. Yep. And that's good. It's kind of in there on both sides. Okay, here's a fun one. The trigger guard. So I had a couple of suggestions from people on how to do this, that were basically make a tool that goes in there to push the spring in, but have a gap in the tool so that you can drive the pin. I'm gonna see if I can do it without having to make a special tool. Yeah, so basically the detent goes in here like that with the wide face on the outside to catch it. That's what pops up when you go to put the trigger guard on. And then you put the spring, and then we have to push the spring in and get the pin in there at the same time. Let me see what I can do. If I can press the spring with something small enough that will allow me to also get the pin started. I think I might be able to do it with just a punch. I'm going to use my belly to hold it, and then I'm going to take the pin. There we go. That looks like a solid start. Okay, that's kind of flush, so start over. Just put this detent and spring. Use the punch, this big punch, and then see if I can start it enough to capture the spring. No. No. Here we go. I think this one will work for that. So get it started. I think we hit the screwdriver because it doesn't want to come out. There, and the spring is indeed captured. I'm gonna have to poke that under there with something because it doesn't want to, it wants to come out. Might actually be okay. Let me see. If I get it almost there, I can poke the spring out of the way. There we go. And now it's out of the way of the pin. Just like that. The pin does not want to line up with the hole though, for some reason. Let's see if I can strike it that way. Aha. Wait, nope. It's almost there. I just need to hit it the right way. Oh, you know, I think there's a coil of spring in the way. So, yep, I think we're okay now. Aha, I felt it. Perfect. Now that we have that, we can actually just go ahead and stick this on there. So I'll do what I did before, just take a punch to depress it. Get it in there. Oh, there we go. Snapped in. And then the roll pin. This feels too big. Even if that's correct, that doesn't seem right. And these pins are, I don't know, this one is definitely smaller. I'm gonna go with this one. They're the same length, and I think that is the correct pin, but I'm just scared to break something with how much force it would take to get this one to go. Yeah, that's gouging a hole. That's gouging out the hole larger. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna use this replacement one. I'm gonna run a drill bit through that, just because it's possible the coating has interfered. Yeah, I think that needs to be reamed out of size, because that doesn't feel right. Seems much better already. There we go. That's going in. There we go. Just took a little oomph to get it there. I got both sides pretty much where they need to be. So yeah, we're never taking that out again. Okay, let's do the trigger next. Now there's a couple things that I'll get to in a minute regarding that, of like which parts we're using. So the trigger I think should be fine. The disconnector from the kit we're not going to be using. The hammer should be fine as well, although that was actually one of the parts that I have a replacement for, because I think there was something like this, looks like full auto related, that I would either have to cut off or deal with, and I'm not going to do that. Semi-auto disconnector, I believe it was from Palmetto. There's some differences, namely the tail is missing. So essentially it's the same, but without this tail. And that's why I'm going to leave this alone, because this is an original Colt, or I'm assuming Colt part. And why use that and destroy it when I can use a brand new semi-auto one that looks exactly the same and works the same. So the trigger I'm definitely keeping and using, because it is the original trigger, and that's what's going to show. The rest of the fire control group components, I could mostly care less if they're original, especially if they need to be converted to semi-auto anyway. Here's my PSA hammer. Yeah, it's just missing the full auto trip thingy, whatever. So I'm going to take this spring directly off of the original hammer. It's the same as a regular AR spring, and I'm going to put it on this new one, like that. For assembly, it's just like a regular AR fire control group. This is the closest punch size I have to fit the trigger holes. So we're going to take our trigger. It's already got the return spring. We're just going to put the disconnector on top. And we put it in there. Except it would help if I put it in the right way, facing forwards. So there we go. And then I'm pushing the disconnector down until the hole lines up. The hole is kind of like here. It needs to come down some. So I'm just gonna push until I have it. There we go, like that. And then I'm gonna take my first pin. They go this way. 2 notches on the, if you're facing the front of the gun, the notches are on the right. The instructions I'm following just happen to say to put the pins going this way. And I don't know if that's the correct way, like the correct way, or because I've definitely done it the other way. So if so, I did it wrong, most likely. And then we're gonna take, there, and that's snapped in, just like that. So we got the trigger in, that was easy enough. Next we have the hammer. It's a little trickier. Basically, I'm gonna have to take the spring, push it down, and squeeze it down in there. It's a little hard, but we can do it. I've done it before. It sometimes takes 2 people though. So if I can get it aligned myself, I will, and push a pin in it. We shall see about that. It's a little tricky. Is that it? Is that it? That's it. There we go. Okay. Same thing. The little notches to the right side of the gun. And we're gonna put it in. Yeah, that just lost me my alignment, so that's why this is a little bit tricky. I'm gonna redo that. I'm gonna take this and use it to start it. I'm gonna start it like halfway and then see if I can like punch and transfer. It doesn't look like it worked. Oh, it's stuck to my finger. This would be better if I had this in a vise. I just don't have an AR receiver bench block vise thingy. There we go. And then the tricky part is gonna get this lined up as well. Because as you can see, it doesn't want to line up there. You got to just kind of squeeze it until it does, and then hit it with a hammer. Yeah, or actually just might be able to just push it. Yeah, there we go. And then we're locked in, as the kids say. Cool. And then we can function check. Release. Reset. Hammer reset. Trigger reset. Release. And then, all right, yep. Looks like we're good to go there. So next we do the safety selector. The instructions I am following once again say to have the hammer back, which we do. And what we need to do is we need to get the detent, which I actually don't think I have. I think it's missing from my parts kit. So I'm gonna take my oops kit. You turn it upside down. I'm gonna turn it this way so you can see it. This is the rear of the rifle, this is the front. there's that hole right here where that goes into. That may be an issue. No, that's okay. I was thinking the finish might be interfering with it, but I think it's fine. And then what we do is the this guy, the grip, the pistol grip. This is like embedded in here, so I'm not going to try to take it out. This thing is also filthy, and I should have cleaned it. I can do that some other time though. This spring is also what actuates that detent. So if we put that on and then screw it on, it should we should be able to press down on the detent and then let go, and it'll come back. So I've got the screw and the lock washer for that. I'm gonna go ahead and get a screwdriver and get that going. So I can't really see in there. I'm just gonna fish that down in there. Hope it finds the hole. Yep, it did. So I may have done that out of order. I think the safety was supposed to go in first, which I did not do. Okay. So put the safety on, and we'll kind of, I don't know if it matters, but I'll put it on safe, I guess, to start. So put the detent back there, and then put this on there, and then we'll get to screwing. There we go. That's on there. Safety's on there. Safeties. Perfect. Next up, we got a couple things. We got the buffer tube, which at the same time, we have to install this detent and spring for the rear takedown, which again, I'm not sure where that detent is. I may or may not have it. I am not seeing it, so I'm gonna pilfer the oops kit again. I imagine what happened is somebody probably put the buffer tube on and squished the spring. I'm gonna fix it a little. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's better. Yeah. And then put this end down in there to push the detent. Actually, again, with same as with the safety, we need to have this in there first. So go back. Let me put the retainer pin in there. Poke it. Then we put the spring like that. And then while we're here, we're gonna put this detent and spring in the back here and just leave it there for now until we get to it. And then the buffer tube, we're just gonna start screwing it on. And I forgot, we're actually supposed to push this down. Sorry, I'm flipping it all around. You push this down so it captures it when you screw in the buffer tube. So if you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. Just like a regular AR. There we go. And there we go. And still detents. And then you torque it down on the end. I'm gonna use these guys. And I'm not gonna go too crazy with it, just enough to get it on. Honestly, I don't know that I could do much more than this. yeah, that doesn't feel like it wants to go anymore. So that's good enough for me. And so now what we do is we put the stock on. And this is where I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work, because I think it was different on a regular AR. So what I have, besides the sound of dirt, is this spring needs to go in there. So I'm kind of wiggling it. It seems, that's probably exactly what happened to the other side of it. So I may need to use something to poke that down in there, because that's wanting to, there we go. That last little bit needs to go flat. There we go. Okay, now that's there. There's already this one screw on the butt plate, and the butt plate is cracked. And initially, based on what some people were saying, yeah, it's unserviceable technically. However, this just screws into the buffer, and so it's not like it's gonna fly off because of it. Because I mean, the buffer is kind of captured. This is really, literally just to hold on the stock to the buffer. The buffer is not like gonna cause the stock to yeet off the gun, or the butt plate to yeet off the gun because of that. So we're just tighten her up, which I think is also gonna, or I would think it would be tightening up this to here, but it also might be squishing the spring, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna take this off for now. Oh, I'll just put this back here and check out what we got going with the spring. So there we go. That's a flush fit. It wasn't doing that before. Now it is. So I think it was the spring that was causing issues. There we go. Yeah, that's honestly not that bad. It's just busted. Yep. Last thing, the buffer and spring. I should probably get some grease on this. All right, I got this universal gun grease. I've had this for a while. Works pretty good for things that you want to put grease on. So I'm just gonna get it everywhere. For sure. All right, that's good enough without being excessive. And so that's gonna go spring side first. And I'm gonna go wipe my hands off because that's greasy. Then we'll get, I believe, a flat spot where the detent is. The hammer is kind of in the way right now, so push that, and then so we can just push that in like that. I might turn it to round just to, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but just, yeah, I don't know. This assembly is going to be a little persnickety. I probably could have looped that, which I'll do in a second. There we go. I can pop it out by hand now. So this one is not going to be that easy. I am going to grease it though, just because this one is so tight, and I don't want to mess with it too much, just because it's had so many problems with it, with the bent ear and everything. Yeah, okay. That's gonna be good. Put some down in there where the detent hits it too, just so that's not riding dry. That feels a lot better already. Mainly, this is just because this is the first time this has been together. I just want to make sure all the moving parts have something on them, and it's not just dry metal against metal. So even if you wouldn't normally lube any of this, I'm going to now. Totally unrelated, but check out all these extra bags I have left over. These are the auto parts I can't use. This is the dust cover parts. I'm going to replace those. This is that lonely detent. The rest of these are just bags, which I am going to save because they're great. But I did get one of these organizer thingies from Harbor Freight. I might give that a shot next time, but for now I've got my oops kit in there. Before we move on to semi-final assembly, I'm going to lube up the trigger parts. Alright, now semi-final assembly. There we go. And then perfect. And perfect. Dang. That looks nice. There is some slop here. If I want to take care of it, there are ways to do it. I knew about this already. It's here. They make shims. That's the main area of concern. Alrighty, y'all. I got me a bag of goodies from PSA. I'm still waiting on a couple things from Midway, but this should pretty much get us 90% of the way there. A couple of new production retro H&R mags. Got a 20 rounder and a number that shall not be named rounder. Nice thing is it comes with free bags that I can use for my ever-growing supply of gun parts. Nice gray color. And the little guy. Also got the that H&R dust cover I was talking about. It is M16A1 style. And that messed up roll pin that I had for the gas tube, I have 5 more now. They were $1, so I figured, I mean, that's a little bit much for just a roll pin. You could always buy in bulk for cheaper, but I only need this one, so I figured I might as well buy 5 of them in case I lose another one. And then a couple more things I want to do / redo while we're at it. So first thing is with the bolt. I never did look at it, and after having a peek at the manual, the Colt manual, at the recommendation of at least 1 or 2 people, I think, in the comments, which, yes, I should have looked at to begin with, or at least watched some videos, because I got the order of things completely wrong and disassembled some things wrong, but that's beside the point. It's already done. Normally, I'm the kind of person to like deep dive into things and make sure I know exactly what to do beforehand, but that one I was just in a hurry and I figured I would remember it, but that was not the case, so my bad, I guess. But yeah, I took a look at the manual. It had some things to check on the bolt. Obviously, headspace, we're going to check that. There's the extractor, and really just basic field stripping just to make sure it's good. There's one more test you can do to test the gas seal, so we'll do that. Firing pin protrusion I don't really care about. There was some things about not using a full auto firing pin in a semi-auto gun. I don't think the firing pin actually matters because the bolt is original full auto, even though the lower is not. There was something about the hammer in a semi-auto only configuration, but I'm not sure how that would be a problem when the only difference is the full auto hammer has a sear trip and the semi-auto doesn't. So I think it has more to do with like a completely designed semi-auto version from the start. I could be wrong, but I think it's fine. I don't see any mention anywhere of anyone else putting one of these together and saying they had to swap firing pins. Oh yeah, the one last thing there was that I should have done when I put the barrel on. I was kind of using the gas tube to see when it was lined up straight, and it does go in, so it's in there. But they make a specific tool. I don't have that. I have the tool that came with the action wrench that was for the gas tube alignment, and it's the one that I put away and said I probably won't use that. So I will. I'll check it, but I think it's going to be fine because the the way you do it is you torque the barrel on until that tool goes through the upper and goes straight through the gaps in the teeth on the barrel nut. Other than the alignment with the bolt, I don't see that really being a problem since the gas tube goes in and the thing cycles by hand, so we'll check it out though. I'll put the upper on, unlocked, and lock it in. I'll pull this out because I'm going to take the gas tube off real quick, which requires pushing it forward and then pulling it out like that. And what should happen is this should go straight through. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze. If anything, it could be tightened a smidge more. It's like just barely riding up. So at this point, it does catch, but you can see how it kind of kicks over to the left a little bit. That tells me that it's hitting the tooth of that. So not a lot. I kind of gave up on the torque wrench from initially when I first torqued it. It was going, I mean, I don't think it was over 80 because that I think was the max. It's either 80 or 90. Don't quote me on that. Look at the manual. So I'm going to a breaker bar, but I'm not doing a lot. I'm just ever so slightly tweaking it. Yeah, it needs to go just a smidge more. It's fine until it hits the nut. That's a little better. Oh yeah, that's way more clear when you can see with this flashlight. It is definitely hitting. That might be too much. I felt it move. Actually, that's probably just about perfect. I don't feel comfortable torquing it a whole lot more than that. That goes in pretty smooth. It could go a little more. I probably should. I don't like it though. Do one more, and then if that's it. One last little. Okay, that the retaining ring moved on that one. Well, I don't have my hammer, so I'm just gonna use my hammer. It slides straight through there. And if anything, that's a little too tight now. But it's smooth. It goes in there way smoother than before. And I'm gonna leave that. It's better than it was, way better. Before, this was actually binding. The fact that it goes smooth, I'm gonna call that perfect. Let's get the gas tube on. Much easier. Except the tool, I think, makes it harder than it needs to be. There we go. Just like that. So the basic check for the gas ring serviceability is I'll need to take out the retainer pin first and disassemble, except keeping the bolt in. And then you basically hold the bolt. And if this falls free, then you need to replace your gas rings. I'm hoping that this is a good indicator that it's fine. Obviously, if it dropped free, I think you'd probably have some issues as well. I am gonna slide this in the upper real quick while I have it together, just to see what happens. Yeah. It goes just fine. I should have brought my headspace gauges because we can check headspace really quick. So the manual is actually kind of vague about the headspace thing. Normally you would take out the extractor and the firing pin. I don't think the firing pin matters too much in this case, but it doesn't mention that. It just says shove a headspace gauge in there and put the bolt forward. So I'm going to make sure that I put the extractor cutout on the gauge where the extractor would be, which is, according to the bolt, somewhere between, it's like here. It'll be fine if it's not perfect. I'm just going to put it kind of diagonal. That was not the correct angle. It needs to be the flat, like here. There we go. So I'm going to push that one in. That's the, I forgot which one that was. That's a go, because the other one is a no-go. So, get that in there. And we close. It felt very tight, so I think we're okay there. Yeah. I did not pull the gauge out, so my extractor position was all right. Pull this gauge out. Go with the no-go. And I'm like very 99% confident that it's going to be exactly what it's supposed to be. This is a brand new barrel and all. Turn the extractor cutout about right, like that. And then we'll throw a bolt in there. And there's nowhere even close to closing that. So, as you can see, that space is good, which is not a surprise. All right, let's trigger some people by me actually knowing how the bolt comes apart. So, firing pin retainer, this guy comes right out. Firing pin. Drops out like that. Bolt. This cam thing, whatever you call it, comes out. Then, real quick, while we're here, we can do the bolt drop test. See if the bolt drops free of its own weight. It does not, as you can see. So we're good there. It does come out, and it has a satisfying amount of blue. And we'll keep the, when we put it back together, the alignment will be with the extractor in this little corner right here. And then it lines up with that hole right there. This honestly looks really clean already, so I'm not really worried about it. And no, for the carrier, I will not be touching any of this because it's fine, and I don't want to remove screws and the gas key that I will have to replace. Just messing with the bolt. And the bolt, I think the only thing I'm going to take off is the extractor. The ejector, I don't really care about. I don't see a reason to take it apart. So that comes out like that. There's the pin. And then the extractor. Looks like the plunger came with it. There's a little bit of junk in there, so I'll clean that up in a second. Inside the actual hollow part here, not too bad. I will run a brush and a patch through the inside of the bolt body, though. Even just from sitting there, like, at least in bright light, I can see like dust, brass pieces from it that inevitably get stuck in there from firing. So, all right, let's clean this thing a little bit. Got some brushes. I think I just got these off of Amazon. I'll try to put a link if I can find it. These are nylon brushes, I believe. So, just, yep, nothing too crazy. Nothing in there. There's a little bit of carbon on here. This is not really gonna get it. I got a tiny bit, but let's see about the good old toothpick. Yeah, that'll do it. It's just dirt mostly, not carbon. This, I don't know if that's dirt or what. But yeah, the main reason I came in here was the extractor looked like it had some dirt. So, and I'd say that's pretty good. So I'll wipe this down with solvent in a minute as well. Not really much to do here. I could run a patch through there or just like wipe it. And I will need to oil it as well, because that's where the bolt goes, does its thing. Doesn't really seem dirty. Yeah, there's honestly not a whole lot of anything in here except occasional like dirt. I do have a thing to run a patch with that I might use in a second, just to go through the bolt carrier, just in case. This is bore solvent, but it's for like carbon buildup and all that. So it'd probably be pretty good for just general cleaning, I would imagine. It smells kind of good too. It's way better than, or smells better than hops. Hops is stinky, and I'm always afraid to use it too much and smell too much of it. There we go. It's getting some. But this stuff, not so much. Here we go. Yeah. Okay, it's a little bit dirty, but nothing too crazy. Let me go in here. Should have brushed this. I knew I was missing something. They did say to do that, so don't tell me I'm doing it wrong, because the manual told me to put a brush through here. I was going to take and use this, maybe I'll use the other side of the patch because it's pretty dirty. But it's got the solvent on it. I'm going to take some and just wipe the rest of it. Let that dry, I guess, or I'll wipe it off. Dry patch. Actually, I want to wipe a little bit more with the bolt carrier. Okay, I take back what I said about this smelling better. It is better than hops, but it still, after a while, does smell like it's not good for you. So again, as always, don't breathe in chemicals. It's usually not good for you. Okay, there's my dry. But yeah, honestly, this bolt looks pretty darn good. Do one more dry pass because I missed the actual bolt. First. Alright, I'm calling that good. This bolt was not really dirty at all, so we're just gonna put it back together. Which, considering the overall condition of this kit and all the other parts, is kind of remarkable. So, let's put this aside. We'll get the bolt back together, starting with the extractor. Like so. And then I'm gonna push down the pin. I mean the into the extractor so I can get the pin started, hopefully, or all the way. Like, now I didn't see anything about a direction for this to go. Oops. So I'm not sure that it matters. I mean, it's a pin, so I think as long as it's not sticking out and it's in there all the way, then you're probably fine. Yep, like that. Then we got the bolt back in the carrier. So remember, the extractor is kind of on the top right if you're looking at it from this way. So top left here, which means we put it in there. And then this cam pin. Trying to line up. There we go. Didn't have it in all the way. This cam pin can line up this way. Turn it 1/4 turn, and there it is. And then the firing pin, that's one thing I haven't wiped off yet, so I'll just do that real quick. It's really not dirty. Put it in the back. Like that. You can see it's sticking out there, so that's good. And then if you don't remember which way the retainer pin goes, I mean, it's kind of obvious because if you put it in this way, the back end is going to stick out, and there's a giant recess for this to go, and so it's just simple as that. Excellent. Okay, now for something a little more fun, we got to put the gas tube retaining pin in. So I have it pretty much lined up. You can see the hole. You can see when the hole lines up. We're just gonna take one of these brand new pins, pound it in carefully, of course. So let me actually, I found that this turned over is a pretty good block for this whole front sight. I can see this better than you can see on the video, but I can see that's lined up now. I'll take one of these pins, and be careful not to drop it this time. Although if I do, and I can't find it like the last one, then I have 4 more. What I probably should do, because this doesn't sit in there like that, and it's hard to hold, it's a tiny pin, I should use pliers. So let me do that. And take and hold it. And I dropped it. That's why I bought 5. There goes that one. I saw where that one went though. I do have starter punches, but not one small enough for that. Or do I? I do, and I totally forgot that these exist. Yeah, that's what I was doing wrong, is I was, for some reason, trying to use a regular roll pin punch. I don't know why I was doing that. Starter punch is the way to go. And we're started. So if I had done this the right way, I wouldn't have lost it. That's my fault. There we go, that should do it. Not sure what that junk is in there, but actually that's flush on that side. That's a little bit under, so I'm gonna punch it back the other way real quick. Just a tippy tap. That's perfectly flush on both sides like it should be, and that gas tube is retained. Okay, just about the last thing is to fix our dust cover issue. So this is the H&R dust cover. Actually fits up pretty good against that black anodizing, which is good. This comes out like that. There is the little C-clip that I will absolutely do my best not to lose this time. So I'm going to take the C-clip off because I kind of need to. I think I can just pop it off like that. I forget what I did last time, but I can also use these pliers, I think. Very carefully. No. I'll try one more time with my fingers. There it goes. Okay, I literally just took my fingernails and pushed down on it. So I'm going to put this on a patch right over here so that I don't lose it. Let me compare the original dust cover spring. That is short. That is short compared to even the H&R. That is quite a bit shorter. I think that might actually be an issue. It might be the problem. Do I dare even want to try using this old one? Honestly, it looks horrible. As much as I like the worn look, this doesn't match. This is just rusty and bent and junky. I think I'd prefer the H&R anyway. So let's do that. Let's use the new spring because I think this spring is genuinely too short. I can even see, like, look, it's like somebody clipped it. So I appreciate you guys telling me that there is supposed to be a long and a short end when I first took this apart without looking at anything and not knowing, but that's majorly shorter. Let me try it. Let me try it just to see. I might prove myself wrong, but I don't think so. So this end goes this way. Put it on part way. Yep, like that. And then we'll get the spring. Flip it this way. So we'll get it started. And then just tuck that under like that. But I legitimately don't think that's going to work. I think that's too short. Yeah, that's way too short. That's not going to work, even on this one. Let me get the... All right, took me a minute, but I found it. And then twist it over like that. And then, yeah, I see that holding pretty much where it's supposed to be, I think. Except not until I get, let's try that again. That, twist it around. There, so it's better, and there, it's flat, and then push this all the way like that. And then we have the dust cover flopping open like it should. So yeah, that's gonna have to do it. I am pretty sure that this is too short and would never work because that's where it sits. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, well, I messed it up. What I was gonna say was I was gonna check, make sure I have this on the C-clip end, and I do. So do this again just for fun, only because I want to, not because I keep messing it up. Yep, that's there, and then do the old spring twist. Like that. And it came loose again. There we go. So I'm gonna need some extra light so I can actually see this. And then I'm gonna have to find a way to get this on there without dropping the thing. I think if I'm careful, I can get these pliers to grip on there and then just push it down. If I do it just right, with enough grip, maybe at least get it started. That's not even close. I don't think anyone has ever said, oh boy, I get to put on a tiny little C-clip today. There we go. It's not quite on there yet. I need a flat blade. Flat blade this the rest of the way. Just a little tiny edge. Oop, not that way. I don't like this. Maybe a punch. Nudge. There we go. That's the most beautiful sound in the world right now. Anyway. Even though that doesn't perfectly match, that looks a heck of a lot better than the old one. Maybe I could have used the old rod, but being bent like that, I don't think so. I mean, it would have worked, but it would have been ugly. Like, there's a difference between worn and no longer functional, you know. I don't know. I could have maybe bent this back, but it's been messed with and it's rusty and it's gross. I like this. I like this a million times better, even though it's not the original. I'll keep the original. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'll have it. So let's go ahead and do our final assembly. We're going to lube up the bolt and put it in. So according to the manual, the Colt manual, they said to put I can't speak today. They said to put oil in here. They said to put oil in the gas port holes, which I think is these three right here. That's not the right word for them, but gas holes, I don't know. They even said to lube the chamber, which I guess I'll do just for the first time. And I don't remember where else. The extractor probably needs some, like in the where it moves, like that. Oh yeah, they did say inside the bolt, so go ahead and do that. I realize I'm kind of undoing a lot of the stuff I already did, and I should have done this while I had it apart, but I didn't think about it. And they just said put oil in the back of the bolt. That's all they say. I'm gonna put some here because this is where it moves. I mean, it turns along this. It's probably a little much, but yeah, that's good. I'll wipe off the extra. And then this as well, just a little bit, because I don't want it to be dry. Probably doesn't matter that much, but just hit the top of the bolt face. And then put that back in. Okay. That's back together and lube. That feels a lot smoother already. So I'm just going to do a little bit on everything, on like here where everything rides as well. And then just kind of all over just to get it moist, you know. Just here. Okay, that may be overkill, but it's my overkill. So we'll go ahead and put the bolt back in. Your charging handle. me lube that as well, just a little. I already have some here, you can see it. Put a little bit here because that's going to be where it catches. Yeah, so we'll that and the bolt like that. Okay. The one thing I'm not sure on yet, but it would be easy enough to fix it. I'm not sure because the manual, even the manual didn't even say where you set the sight. And it probably doesn't actually matter, practically speaking. But if there's a correct position, let me know and I'll fix it. I just put it to where this is centered and this is on, well, looks like it's kind of on one. Yeah, it's on one. So that way any adjustments would be from one. That might not be correct, but that's just how I have it set for now. So let's get the lower back on, because what I want to do now is get the handguards on. So forgive me, I'm trying to do this in a cramped area where you can see it, where I'm not having to hug the camera. Here we go, push that one, that one. There is one more thing that I don't have yet. It's some shims to fix this wobble. I'll do that when I get them. But for now, I do want to finish it off and put the handguards on if I can. Let's see if I can do this. Basically, they go like this, and you gotta push down the slip ring until it goes, and I'm gonna see if I am strong enough to do that because I'm a weak boy. Let's see. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I expected. So this one, show you again, like that. And then pull this down. Probably should have done these at the same time, but what do I know? Almost got it. There it goes. All right. Not the prettiest handguards, obviously, but they are there. They're kind of loose. That's all right. Not too worried about it. Yeah. There she is. Oh. There she is. Nice. Oh yeah, before I forget, I'll lube a couple more spots. The new dust cover. And the spring. And then I'm gonna run a bore brush through there with oil on a patch. Since that is what the manual told me to do, so just lightly, a little bit. Lock it open. There we go. It was actually a little dirty, probably just from initial manufacture. That should do it. One more thing that I hadn't done yet. I used a punch to get the butt door, and there's nothing in it, but that looks like wood to me. Which, if it is, I didn't realize they used wood in the stock. That's interesting. Anyway, I thought that would be kind of cool to see. I was gonna shove that tag in there. This one, that way it can kind of stay with the rifle. And Alright, back at it. I got my shims. These are from Power Custom. They're, I think, 0.05, according to another person who measured them. I will measure them in a second. This is an AKBuilder. I'm not sure if I'm going to use either of them. And if I use the shims, I'm definitely going to semi-permanently attach them, because I don't want them falling out, but I also don't necessarily know that I want them permanently fixed. Okay, the idea with the AKBuilder is, I believe it goes like this. And you just stick it in there, and it takes up some of the slop in the upper and lower on this pivot pin. So I kind of want to see what this does first. It actually stays in there fairly well. May have to push down on it a little. Seems to be the case. Double check that I got it. Yeah, I have it correct. It just needs to doesn't want to go. No, it's not lined up. It doesn't want to go. I'm going to take and see if I can maybe remove some from this, because it's just a little bit too big. The thing with this is, if it's going to be that difficult to get it back together, I don't know if I want it in there. This is also a knockoff AKBuilder. It was $5 on Midway, and so I'm kind of not surprised. So we'll give up on that side of things. And so these shims would end up going here to shim this gap, because that's pretty bad. So I think what I should have done, what I should do is pop this back in and see where the plate is and where I want to fix it. So if I take this side and I push it down, it's pretty flush. It's actually sticking down a tiny bit. It's way sticking out here. If I do the other way, it's flush here and it's flush here. So the shim needs to be on this side, because I'm pushing. It's not going to be perfect. So I think most of the shim is going to go here. If I have any left, it'll go on the other side. Let me try getting a feeler gauge if I can reach. I've done it before, but now that it's all together, it should be a little different. So that fits pretty tight. So I'm going to round down and say I'm going to need 0.015. And I think I misspoke. These shims are 0.005. So I'm going to need about 3 of these to take up the entire slot. So let's try it. Let's just put them on there and see what it looks like. And let me measure one first. That's like 3 or 4 thousandths. So we'll start with 3 of these. For now, I'm just going to put them in there. These are honestly, for what they are, they're overpriced. You can get tons of these from a MasterCar. I just decided to get it from Midway because I was already ordering the AKBuilder. So I'm going to start this and try to get these shims on here. It's going to be a little tricky. There's one. Other, and number 3. Okay. bunched up. I was afraid of that. Messed up one of them. See, it's a waste. That's basically $1 gone. It doesn't want to line up. I don't understand. The shims just don't want to stay put is the problem. Maybe I didn't need 3. Maybe I just need 2. Still doesn't want to keep the shims in. Nope. They don't want to stay. There we go. There we go. Kind of. The shim is messing up. Try 1, which is probably going to do nothing different whatsoever. Okay, there's 1 shim, and I think even that one might have been messed up. Nope. Okay. Then we have that. So, what did that do for us? It did take a little bit of the slop, but not enough of it, really. Honestly, at this point, I don't think I care. I'm just not going to do the shims because they are finicky and pointless, and I don't want that permanently installed on my gun. If anything, I might use the AKBuilder if I can get it to fit correctly at some point. But these shims, I think, are a waste of time and money, in my opinion, based on what I just tried to accomplish and failed miserably. I did shave the AKBuilder down kind of crudely with a razor blade. I'm going to try that, and if that doesn't help, I'm going to do the bottom, or the, well, the top, I guess. No, it looks like maybe the bottom is the thing holding it up. Yeah, try that. I'm gonna try just shaving it real carefully. Because there is this little mold mark, circular thing. And I could see down in there that it was kind of squishing on that. And judging by how much it had left to go, I'd say it had a lot that needed to be dealt with. Okay. That's better. See if that helps. That might do it. I think that will do it, actually. There we go. Not quite. I'd like to be able to do it without having to do this, so I'm going to take it out again. See, that makes it complicated. I don't mind having to press a little bit to get it to move, but I have to, like, there we go. That might work. And it takes quite a bit of it out, actually. I mean, it is there, but it's not like rattly. It takes away the rattling more so than the slop. Obviously, the slop is still there, but it's not as noticeable. So maybe I'll run that. I think I will, actually. It'll just make it harder to take this apart, but not impossible. Whereas before I could do it by hand. I'll probably have to use a punch now, which honestly, even then I had a hard time. I could get it started, but then I would need, yeah, it comes out pretty easy, so that's good. I can do that by hand. I can put it back in anyway. Punch to get it out, which is kind of okay. There we go. I'm okay with that. We're gonna leave it there. We're not doing the front shims, that's ridiculous. And yeah. Anyway, y'all, next video you see of this thing will be a test fire. Can't wait.